What's good, guys? Prince Sports coming at you with another one and another one. But this one's about Terence Crawford. Okay, he's now regarded as the best welterweight in the game, and pound for pound, the best fighter in the world for beating Shawn Porter. To me, Shawn Porter is a great fighter, but I always thought Shawn Porter lost all his big fights. He lost all his legacy fights. So to me, he was never an elite fighter. He's just a fighter that gives you a tough fight because of his fighting style. But he was always a stepping stone for an elite fighter. I always looked at it as that. And you know what? Shows me right, because every time he fights an elite fighter, he loses. Rather, it's Earl Spence, Keith Thurman at the time, and Terence Crawford. He's always losing his legacy fights. It'd be a different story if he wins some of them, but he never win them. So that I have to hold against him. But nevertheless, let's go over the top 5 opponents that Terence Crawford could be fighting. In no particular order a little bit. Only number 1 is in particular order. Okay? 5, Jermaine Charlo. He should fight Jermaine Charlo. That's a good fight. That, I don't know if it's pay-per-view worthy, but that goes about if Terence Crawford is pay-per-view worthy now, then you could put that fight on pay-per-view. It'll be a little difference with the weight. Somebody will have to probably meet somebody halfway, but I think that'll be a good fight for Terence Crawford. Number 4, Ugas, the guy that beat Manny Pacquiao. He'd make a great fight against Terence Crawford. He's a good Cuban boxer. He has the Cuban style. They fight pretty much different. And I think his defensive skills with his counterpunching will be great opponent for Terence Crawford. And I see Terence Crawford probably winning that fight, but you never know. All it takes is one punch and you could be out of there. And that'll be a good fight for Terence Crawford. Number 3, Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman's been calling out Terence Crawford. Now, I do think this will be a good fight. Keith Thurman will have to use his ring intelligence to try to beat Terence Crawford. Because if he try to go shot for shot, Glock for Glock, he's going to end up losing to Terence Crawford. But this is a good fighter to add to your resume. He's in his prime still. And Terence Crawford, you could get some of that smoke. And number 2 is Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor be a great fight for Terence Crawford. Another guy in his prime young. All these fighters are in their prime young. So if you're Terence Crawford, you want to knock off a lot of these opponents as much as you can. Try to fight 2 of these guys within the next year. 2 to 3 of these guys in the next year on pay-per-view. So Josh Taylor is another one. But the number 1 guy that we would like to see him go up against is none other. Before time runs out, better find out before your time's out. What the? If I ruled the world, I make a match between Earl Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford. We didn't get to see Kobe versus LeBron in the finals. We didn't get to see a Kobe versus Mike Jordan in the finals, prime for prime. If you have a chance to make 2 prime people fight or go up against each other, the world wants to see this. Guys, make this fight happen. Earl Spence Jr. versus Terence Crawford. Great fight in the making. And that's a fight that people want to see, man. Don't rip the fans off when it comes to boxing. Give them what they want. Terence Crawford, Earl Spence Jr., get on the phone, stop playing games, make the fight happen before you're too old. Somebody's out of their prime, somebody got knocked out, and somebody's washed used goods. Get it now while you're both hot, while people are willing to still pay for it. Prince Sports out. Peace.